Hello and welcome back. In this Black Excellist presentation, we will highlight 10 Black directors that innovated film in the past decade.
Welcome to blackexcellist.com, the site where we share Black excellence, opulence, and affluence. Our mission is to inspire you as we enlighten you.
As we are well on our way into a new decade, we want to shine a spotlight on Black directors who were able to make their marks in Hollywood in the past decade. We celebrate their success as well as their creativity and multi-million-dollar budgets in making films that uplifted, entertained, and pushed the limits of imagination of the African-American community. Through all of the adversities that these Black directors face daily in Hollywood, we will highlight their critically acclaimed films that have been able to move the culture over the past 10 years. In this original Black Excellist video, we will be featuring the top 10 Black directors of the past decade. So without further ado, let's get started. Number 1. Tim Story, director of Think Like a Man and Ride Along. Story is probably by quantity the most successful Black filmmaker when you throw in the Fantastic Fours from the previous decade to his successful run with the Think Like a Man and Ride Along franchises. One can say he's a chameleon filmmaker who shows his versatility, whether it's action-packed or comedy-driven. Story is the highest-grossing African-American director in the world, with his 7 feature films grossing over $1 billion in revenue. He is the only African-American director to have 6 films debut at number 1 at the box office during opening weekend. Number 2. Antoine Fuqua, director of The Equalizer, Southpaw, The Magnificent Seven, and Olympus Has Fallen. Fuqua is an American film director known for his work in the film Training Day, as well as Tears of the Sun and Brooklyn's Finest. Fuqua has been a powerhouse filmmaker in the past decade with action-packed films like The Equalizer, where he paired up again with Denzel Washington. Having done Southpaw and The Magnificent Seven remake to critical and financial success, let's not forget that his direction of Olympus Has Fallen sparked 2 more sequels. Number 3. Ryan Coogler, director of Fruitvale Station, Creed, and Black Panther. Coogler has emerged as the most prominent director with just 3 films. With Fruitvale Station, he won the Top Audience and Grand Jury Awards in the U.S. Dramatic Competition at the 2013 Sundance Film Festival. He then co-wrote and directed the 7th film in the Rocky series, Creed, which grossed nearly $175 million worldwide. His Marvel movie adaptation of King T'Challa and the fictional African nation of Wakanda was a cultural phenomenon and an international blockbuster. Black Panther became the highest-grossing solo superhero launch of all time, the highest-grossing film by a Black director, and the highest-grossing film starring a primarily Black cast. Number 4. Jordan Peele, director of Get Out, Us, and The Twilight Zone. Jordan Peele wrote and directed the Oscar-winning Get Out, a horror movie about racism that became a breakout hit and the most profitable film of 2017. He delivered another well-received fright flick with his horror film Us in 2019 and has been involved in the production of TV shows like The OG and a reboot of The Twilight Zone. Earlier in his career, Peele was known for his work on Mad TV and for co-creating the hit Comedy Central show Key and Peele. Number 5. Steve McQueen, director of Shame, 12 Years a Slave, and Widows. McQueen has directed 3 outstanding films in this past decade, but it was 12 Years a Slave that made him the first Black director to have a film win Best Picture. McQueen makes gritty stories that are very in your face and very revealing in the character study. The public can see the soul of the character through the eyes of his lead actors and actresses. Number 6. Barry Jenkins, director of Medicine for Melancholy, Moonlight, and If Beale Street Could Talk. It had been over a decade when Jenkins had released his first film, Medicine for Melancholy, to critical acclaim. There was great anticipation for his next film, Moonlight, and when it came out in 2016, it not only captured everyone's attention, but went on to win the Academy Award for Best Picture. This was the first time a film with an all-Black cast took such an honor, and he also won an original screenplay Oscar. His next film, If Beale Street Could Talk, also garnered critical acclaim. Number 7. Malcolm Lee, director of Best Man Holiday, Girls Trip, and Night School. Having worked over 15 years in the business, Lee finally gave us the sequel to his film debut, Best Man, with Best Man Holiday, and it proved well at the box office. He then followed up and hit a home run with Girls Trip, which is one of the funniest black films of the decade, and introduced us to rising star Tiffany Haddish. Lee then successfully paired the rising star and Haddish with superstar Kevin Hart in the box office hit Night School. Number 8. Tyler Perry, director of Medea's Big Happy Family, Medea's Witness Protection, and Acrimony. When the decade started, there was no consistent director making films and bringing in box office receipts other than Tyler Perry. Love them or hate them, his films brought in an audience that no box office expert had seen before. Led by his signature character Medea, folks couldn't get enough laughs. He's one of the few directors who also writes and produces his projects, which brings in average gross earnings of at least $60 million and generates a 2-to-1 return on his investment. Number 9. Ava Duvernay, director of Middle of Nowhere, Selma, 13th, and When They See Us. In this decade, Duvernay reinvented herself from film publicist to film director, and she got her big break when she won the directing award in the U.S. Dramatic Competition at the 2012 Sundance Film Festival for her second feature film, Middle of Nowhere, becoming the first black woman to win the award. Her second film, Selma, garnered her a Golden Globe nomination for Best Director. Not to mention, she also became the first black female director to have her film nominated for the Academy Award for Best Picture. In 2017, she was nominated for the Academy Award for Best Documentary Feature for her film 13th. In 2018, her film A Wrinkle in Time grossed over $100 million at the box office, making her the first black female director to have that distinction. Her incredible talent as a director was put on full display with her Netflix miniseries When They See Us, where she masterfully depicted the excruciating toll that persecution and incarceration had on the teenage boys known as the Central Park Five. Number 10. F. Gary Gray, director of Straight Outta Compton, Fate of the Furious, and Men in Black International. F. Gary Gray had been relatively quiet in the beginning of the decade until he came back to the director's chair with the NWA film Straight Outta Compton in 2015. Featuring mostly newcomers as part of the cast, it stood atop at the box office for 4 straight weeks, grossing over $160 million. Gray then went to direct the 8th installment of the Fast and the Furious franchise, The Fate of the Furious, in 2017. With a total gross of $1.2 billion, it became the 18th highest grossing film of all time. With his last film being 2019's Men in Black International, Gray is one of the few black directors getting films with a $100 million plus budget.
We appreciate the fact that you stayed with us until the end. Thank you for spending time with us, and don't forget to like this video. Also, make sure you subscribe so that you never miss a video. Bye for now. We will see you tomorrow.